Hello everybody, Bruce McGonigal here, and I have to ask the Conservative Party of British Columbia, what the hell are you doing? You're blowing it! You're literally blowing it! We have to hold David Eby accountable, folks, for the pandemic, for all the foster kids that are dying in foster care, for the overdose crisis, for cramming soji into schools, for turning around and intentionally destroying our logging sector and letting our forests burn. There are countless things that have lined up that we need to address that the BC NDP have done. And what you guys did today by kicking out a conservative MLA over saying something that even John Rustad admits is technically true is a self-inflicted wound and a slap in the face to all the people who not only volunteered but voted to get accountability against David Eby and the horrific BC NDP government. I'm absolutely devastated that the party that I helped so much to try and get them elected as our premier and as the government of British Columbia has now done this, folks. Okay, like, what am I supposed to say, and what is everybody else supposed to say who is counting on representation from this party? Okay? Like, let's take a look here. BC Conservative leader John Rustad ejects Dallas Brodie over residential school comments. It comes after she said 0 child burials had been confirmed at the Kamloops Indian Reserve, a residential school, which Rustad agreed is objectively true. It's not just objectively true. Did they find any of the bodies? Okay, right? We were told that there were kids dying. Okay, 100 churches across Canada burned since that happened, folks. And not just that, okay, like I was saying right at the beginning, we have 8.5 children dying every single month in foster care in British Columbia. So why is that not the priority? I feel bad about what happened in residential schools. Everybody should. But that doesn't mean you start slicing your wrists politically simply because somebody was telling an inconvenient truth that didn't go along with woke narratives. I'm not denying that residential schools are horrible. I'm not denying that kids probably died at residential schools and parents were not informed, and maybe the public wasn't informed. You know why I say that? Because of what's happening in foster care right now. This is my point. You can either be offended and outraged about something that's happened in the past or hasn't happened in the past, or you could focus on actually trying to save children's lives right now. And that's what pisses me off so much. The Conservative Party of British Columbia was doing the right thing, listing off how many ER closures there are right across the province, listing off how many children are suffering and dying in the hands of the very government that flooded the foster care system with 500 plus kids transitioning. So instead of ensuring that the kids that were in care were actually being protected, our government diverted huge amounts of money to soji type stuff to take parents, separate parents and their children, and then get the children transitioning in care. Something I have talked about repeatedly on how evil that is, especially when you have children in care who have definitely been abused and need treatment / counseling / protective homes, but they can't because those services are now being diverted for the woke transgender cult that wants to castrate kids, right? This is what the Conservative Party of British Columbia should have been dealing with pipelines, dealing with all of these different things. Instead, we are now looking at a position where David Eby and all of the pandemic nonsense that they turned around and threw at us, the lies, the lockdowns, the vaccine passports, the mask mandates to still go into a clinic right now, will not be addressed. Okay? And thanks to maybe a potential 4-year term, folks, David Eby might still be in power in 2028. So we could be looking at a situation where the unvaccinated and those hurt by the vaccine and those hurt because of vaccine mandates that crushed their business and forced it to close will never get compensation or justice for what happened. This is what the BC Conservatives have done, the Conservative Party of British Columbia. They have turned around and turned their backs on accountability. And why did they do it? Why? That's what everybody else wants to know right now. You weigh what we needed to hold the NDP accountable for versus what Dallas Brodie said. And it's just not even a comparison, folks. Get your priorities straight. I'm sick of conservatives ending up, once they get into power, acting like liberals. This was always the concern when BC United started funneling itself into the Conservative Party of British Columbia, is that we would be importing that liberal idealism into the party, and we were told that wasn't going to happen. We were told we were going to be allowed to have these hard conversations. I'm upset right now. And so I'm going to stop this video before I say too many things, because I still believe that the Conservative Party of British Columbia stands a chance at holding David Eby accountable.